Okay, welcome back, guys. This is part two of uh, race two at Belmont on July 8th. And in part one, we put together, using all the runners, we looked at different portions of the grid here. We looked at this section here for the one horse. We looked at this section here for the two horse, or I'm sorry, the three horse, four horse, and so on. And then what I did was I stopped the video and I went and I finished this race on my own because it probably would have been a little too long of a video for me to do the entire thing. And as I said before, these videos will show you bits and pieces. Um, if you want to, watch each of the videos that I publish, you'll get a general idea on how to do this system on its own. Or you could find a link in the comments, click it, and I have a probably 100 and some page tutorial on it's an e-tutorial done on PDF that walks you through this step by step. So what I'm going to do here is we're going to paint a picture here. We're going to analyze the grid, and we're going to ultimately come narrow this down to four contenders in this race. Now, I don't have the past performances up here anymore like I did before, but if you watch video one, you'll notice that we took a look at some of the qualitative factors, and we came out with the fact that the 7 will probably be our pace setter. Horse will probably be in the front early. We also have the 4 horse, who was a class dropper, and he's also coming off a move on the turn, a turn move, while being wide. So being wide on the turn and still gaining lengths on the leader is like a very, very good conditional workout. And a lot of times these horses come back better than they were last time out. And then we have the 3 coming off of just a turn move. Wasn't wide. It's probably more in toward the rail, but it was still a move on a turn. He still advanced. And why is that such a valuable tool? Well, because the turns are the parts of the track that aren't straight. Okay, so being able to advance and gain ground on your competition while running around a turn, a lot of times takes a lot out of the horses, but at the same time, like I said before, it conditions them a little bit, and then all of a sudden they come back and they come back as better horses. And you kind of hope for that, especially if the odds are right. Um, the horse is at the right price. So these are the qualitative factors we're going to keep in mind when we do our final determination on what our contenders are going to be. But let's take a look at variable number one. Variable number one, the 7 horse stands out as the top here at 178. I'm only going to take a look at the top 2 in each category simply because we're already narrowing this race down. When we take out the 2 main track only horses, which is the 2 and the 6, and then we ended up taking the 5 out too, based on what my eyes told me. We're looking at 5 horses now, 5 contenders to base it on. So I don't want to take uh, the top 3 on each of these categories. I'm going to take the top 2 and see where the grid leads us. So we have the 178. Now in this case, I'm going to go with 2 horses here for the second runner-up because there's only a 1-point difference between the 1 and the 4. Okay. Number 2, variable number 2. Once again, the 7 horse gets the nod with a 176. And the 1 horse is coming out with a 170. Okay. One of the things you may want to do when you're doing this is kind of like I have right now. Take the past performances and get them out of the picture, because what you don't want to do is when you start seeing horses that are developing as possible contenders, you don't want to go look and all of a sudden see, oh, this one's 12-1 morning line. You don't want to let the morning line odds, scare you off of a horse. Okay, if you're going to use the system, trust the system, and let the system tell you what direction you want to go, and use those results from this grid and your own gut to determine what direction you want to go with what horses. Okay, so the third section here is the last out adjusted. We have an 84.5, and I'm going to give a nod to both of these as top because there's only a 0.5 difference, and I'm not going to go with a third here. Actually, you know what? I'll give the being that it's an 83, I'll go with the 4 horse as my third. Okay. Now, the average of the last 3 buyers, the 7 horse, once again, comes out on top with an 86.3. And then we have a 85.3. Now, finally, the last 2 factors we look at is the early speed, early part of the race, and the late part of the race. Okay. And being that this is a 6 furlong race, we looked at both. And I mentioned in my part 1 of this video, I mentioned that which distances I look at just the early and what distances I look at just the late. And anything 6 furlongs to 7 furlongs, actually 6 furlongs to a mile, I will look at both early and late. Anything over a mile, I'll just look at late. Anything less than 6 furlongs, I will look at just the early. Okay, so the early speed, we have the 3 horse actually coming up. And you might say, well, how come the 7 is not figuring higher than the 3? Because the 7 is the projected pace setter in the front. Okay, well, you got to keep in mind that we look at lengths gained. Okay, so this 3 horse, again, I don't have the past performances in front of me. This 3 horse may have gained 4 lengths from the quarter to the half without being in the front, and that's going to boost that system that factor up right there alone. And that's one of the reasons why I don't use the time forms or the Trackmaster, should say. That's why I don't use the Trackmaster early and late, because it takes a lot of things in consideration, those numbers. And I like to use my own numbers simply because I'm the one looking at these numbers. When you get numbers like the ones that are in the Trackmaster past performances, everybody looks at them. And you may say, well, everybody looks at the buyers too. Why are you looking at the buyers? I look at the buyers and I do what I do with them. Okay. This is what I decide to do with the buyer ratings. Okay. So I actually do, yes, I look at buyer ratings, but I do what I do with them, which is not necessarily what the public's going to do with them as well. Okay. And then finally, our late speed, we have the 8 horse, which stands out with a 108, which means this horse here could be flying at the end, depending on where he is position wise. And if I remember correctly, I think he's at pretty good odds, morning line. I mean, it doesn't mean anything tomorrow what happens, but we'll see. And then we have these 2 here finishing at a 105. Okay, so we just painted our picture. So let's look and see what we're going to do with our contenders. We have our 7 for the overall, with 729. We have a 712 here. And we have the 1 horse here. And we might as well just put the 3 as the 4. Okay? They're most likely going to be our 4 contenders. Actually, this could be the outlier right here. So here's what I'm going to do contender-wise. I'm going to go with the 7 because the 7 stands out for me. I'm going to go to 7. And then I'm going to go... They're interchangeable to me as far as I'm concerned, these 3 here. But I'm going to take a look and I'm going to put some credence on these 2 factors here. Being that this 3 horse is tops in early and also is right up there with the late, I'm going to make the 3 my second choice. I'm going to go 4 and I'm going to go 8 as my contenders. Now, the odds tomorrow will determine what I do with this now. Okay, these are just my top 4. If I was giving out 4 selections, it would be 7, 3, 4, 8. What I do with them and how I bet them will be determined by, what the public does, what the odds say. If the 7 is probably going to be the favorite in this race, so I may play a try, 7 over 3, 4, 8 overall. And the reason I say all is because, you know what? Doesn't mean this is going to be perfect. You might have that 5 sneak in there. In this case, if I played this, I would like the 5 to sneak in because the 5 is 31 morning line. Or you might have that 1 sneak in there. And the last thing I want to do is leave the 1 out. And then you know what? There might be the 3 and the 8, for example, maybe the highest odds out of my contenders. I may play an exacta 3-8 over 1-3-4-7-8. Oh, 8. Sorry. But again, tomorrow's the odds will determine the actual live odds is going to determine how I would do it. But these would be my pretty much my the way I would play this race. Now, if there's another scratch tomorrow, let's say one of these horses is out, now we're looking at a 5-horse field, and it may be an unplayable race for me, but we'll see. I will not be able to put the results on this video, obviously, because the race doesn't go off until later. I should say later today, not tomorrow, because it's 1:24 a.m. right now. But I will post a screenshot if I can put a screenshot of the results in the comment section. If not, I'll just put the results in there. Okay? Thanks for following.